In 1992, the 90th show that ever 90s, the 90s, came onto French television. The name of the program was Hélène et les Garçons. So iconic, so legendary, and such a representation and a core memory of a generation that a version of this show with the same actors is still on today. But let's go back, go back, and revisit the very first episode and go through all the shows, Hélène et les Garçons, Les Vacances de l'amour, Les Mystères de l'amour, and whatever other side show going on. Before we do all that, let's start with the very first episode. In a cafeteria, typical of pre-McDonald's and Starbucks on every corner days, though oddly lacking in windows, three lads sit at a table drinking non-alcoholic drinks while discussing the joys of post-compulsory education. For example, no one checking if you go into class or not. The main one rejoicing about this is named Christian, who seems to display signs of ADHD, perhaps, or bipolarism, not sure. The other lads are Etienne and Nicolas, who clearly take their education more seriously. We learn from their conversation that they are in a band. How original. The type of music is irrelevant and terrible. Christian rejoices at the idea of trying his luck with university women, as opposed to high school girls, obviously. Christian is quite a misogynist in these early days. That is when one of these said women walks in. The lads do their best to look at the void in a mesmerized way, or trying to imitate the Tex Avery werewolf, and fail. The gentlemen approach the woman in the creepiest way and lay down the schmaltz real thick. They sound like a mix of Cyrano de Bergerac, a telenovela Lothario, and newly graduated lit majors. It's very weird and very creepy. We find out that this girl's name is Kathy, and she is a second year student in the same university. After a tedious lads trying to charm a woman with words, and woman reacting like a normal person and refusing to join in the stupid game, we see that Christian begs for her telephone number, and Kathy proposes an exchange of contacts, like a normal person. We learn in conversation that the band still has no name, but they are very serious and dedicated to their music. Finally, they ask Kathy, why is she there? Who is she waiting for? And they play the worst game of 20 questions and deduce that Kathy is meeting her live in boyfriend, obviously. Mais quelle surprise! Dun dun dun! When a blonde with long hair walks in. Who could have guessed it? We now go on parallel conversations, the boys on one side and the girls on the other. The boys have gone to the gym, perhaps, and we know that they go to the gym to talk more than work out. Obviously, um, in those days, these guys are considered fit and buff. Okay, so this is what happens in the 90s when people are considered buff. They look like this. Okay, so the boys are in the gym and have a discussion where they classify the girls in terms of hotness and other misogynistic, criteria. They decide that they like these two girls that they've met and look forward to seeing them again. On the other hand, we have Kathy And her blonde friend, we learn, is called Helen, like the show. At the girls' unrealistic student accommodations. No university has accommodations this nice, although they all look like Hotel Formula from my experience and my memory. Maybe things have changed. I don't know. I don't care. The girls also express interest in the older and taller boys, referring to hyperactive, possibly bipolar, and somewhat misogynistic Christian as the short, ugly one. That's when a tall third woman walks in. Her name is Joanna. She has finally broken up with her off and on boyfriend Jean Christophe. She has decided that she is ready for and on the market for a new model. She doesn't want to be depressed and have a sad breakup and eat ice cream and do all those things. She just wants to immediately find a new man. Upon hearing that Helen and Kathy have met three attractive young students, she asks immediately which one is hers. Helen and Kathy embarrassingly tell her they already have their eyes on Nicolas and Etienne, respectively. Joanna says she is content with the ugly short one. Unlike her ex, Jean Christophe, who was handsome and wealthy and all the things, he might be grateful for her being his girlfriend. So she decides that they should call them right away. Conservative Helen mentions for the third time this scene that it is up to the boys to call. The other way round would be inappropriate and too forward. But Joanna prevails. At the cafeteria, Etienne wonders what kind of girls called to set a date 3 hours after meeting. He suspects a setup or some kind of hazing, or that they're not the kind of girls that they want to be dating. Nicolas says it's progressive, and Christian says that Etienne is should give him 50 bucks right now. These are old French francs, not euros, by the way. 50 francs right now because he is sure that they will show up. And just as he finishes his sentence, guess who walks in? All three of the girls, Helen, Kathy, and Joanna. After a quick drink of no booze and no coffee, not even tea, where Joanna basically takes possession of her ugly one. Okay. They get to know each other through the most boring dialogue that you've ever heard in your life. So while they're getting to know each other, let's talk about Dorothée. If you were a child in France, Belgium, Luxembourg, or Switzerland between 1973 and 1997, and you were allowed to watch TV, which was not the case for everybody, this woman basically raised you. Best friend, confidant, entertainer, and supreme ruler of all things children's TV. Dorothée brought the first anime to our screens and mastered over 5 hours of non-stop kids programming every Wednesday afternoon. This woman is a core memory for millions of Gen Xers. Granddaughter of a famous art critic and fashion magazine mogul, Dorothée, her real name is Frédéric, was born in 1953 in Paris, where she starts a professional career as an actor. She is noticed by TV pioneer Jacqueline Joubert. After 2 years of training, she presents her first kids show under the name Dorothée on one of the three national TV channels available at the time. In 1975, she will helm a competing show, Récré à deux, which is competing directly with her former TV program, Les Visiteurs du Mercredi. Both shows will introduce children to Goldorak, Chappie Chapeau, and the legendary Candy. It's a long, drama filled story that doesn't matter here. In the next episode, I will discuss in more detail the link between Dorothée and AB Productions and how it led to not only Hélène et les Garçons, Premiers Baisers, Les Filles d'à côté, Les Musclés, Le Miel et les Abeilles, and a whole slew of sitcoms meant for children and teenagers on French television. Some of those shows, again, are still running today, which is wild. The lads take their dates to their creepy rehearsal space. Even at the time, this felt unsafe. Would I really walked into a dark, breeze block, corrugated iron roof building accompanied by men I didn't know the day before? Absolutely not. But this is the 90s and this is AB production. So nothing is realistic and nothing makes sense. Joanna jumps on the drums and mindlessly beats on them. Helen, to her visible cringe and embarrassment, plays Nicola's guitar. This is the only live music you will hear in this show. I remind you that this show is still running. Kathy admits she plays no instruments and sits on the couch. It probably has fleas, rats, and roaches in it, and I would not be sitting on that for any love or money. The boys serenade the girls with a terrible midi bon tempi music thing. Ugh, but apparently they like it. What good acting. Helen arrives at her parents' home where she finds her sister Justine, hero of Premiers Baisers. Yes, Helen is a spin-off. She tells her all about the boys that they met that day and about her life at university after catching up on the previous episode of Premier Baiser that probably aired a few minutes earlier. Ellen takes her bags to her room. Does she live under the stairs? The stairs probably go nowhere at this point, so she has nowhere to climb up to. That's probably why she left her bags at the bottom of the stairs. Anyway, she drops her bags and announces to Justine that she is in love. End of episode. They love, they fight, they laugh, they break up, get back together, move out, move in, and never drink or do drugs until. So join me in this little adventure where we will explore and I will tell the story of Helen and the boys.